What's going on YouTube? Welcome in, I'm LuboATM, and this week's 3-minute discussion has been extended to the extended discussion because there's just so goddamn much to talk about this week that I couldn't fit it into 3 minutes. So we're going to be looking at the developers update for April, and man, there's a lot to cover. So let's get started and jump right in. So guys, for those of you who have watched videos in this series before, know that what we do here is we talk about upcoming changes coming to the Dead by Daylight game, and then we kind of talk through whether these changes are good or bad for Dead by Daylight as a whole. So there's a lot to cover. We're going to start with the killer updates, and the first one we're going to be looking at is the Nightmare Freddy Krueger. People have wanted Freddy nerfed since his basically ground up rework a year or so ago, a couple of years ago, sorry. God, time flies, honestly, time flies. So basically, it's finally happening. So Freddy will now have a decreased movement speed when setting snares to 4.4 meters per second, which is the exact same as Survivor's movement speed. The amount of snares is being reduced to 5, and the amount of dream pallets is being reduced to 7. His add-ons are now being reworked as well, which is now changing action speed reductions to noise increases, basically. So you're no longer going to get penalties or reduced action speeds for repairing generators, but that generator is going to be louder, grunts of pain are going to be louder, so on and so forth. The alarm clocks are also getting a buff, which means when you wake yourself up with an alarm clock from the sleeping state, you're also going to get a 30-second timer where you're immune to going back to sleep, including if you get hit by Freddy, which is huge. It means you don't have to worry about snares, pallets, and you don't have to worry about basically everyone in the trial being asleep constantly. It's an excellent change. Basically, I don't think I can underline how happy I am about this change. The next one up, we've got Demogorgon. And before we start, I just want to say, they nerfed Rat Liver, guys. They took Rat Liver away from us. We wanted Rat Liver as base kit, and they've taken it away from us. Just kidding, right, guys? I also have just punched my table for like 3 times for no reason. But basically, Demo is getting a buff, so he's getting an increased speed while entering his portals, reduced cooldown after exiting the portals, and an increased undetectable length after they exit the portals. His add-ons are also getting a complete rework, and as you can see on the screen there, 2 that have been showcased are that he now can use this add-on to see survivors on Killer Instinct without having to charge the Abyss, and also one that destroys your portals after you use it to gain extra blood points. Don't know why anyone would use that one, but it's there, so they're doing a pass of that. The next one, which I know has got a lot of people excited, is to changes to Huntress. So there's no changes to Huntress actual gameplay, but there are done a full sweep of her add-ons to bring her up to modern standards. So Iridescent Head has been nerfed. It has been capped at 1 hatchet. It still inflicts the dying state, but you can no longer pair it with infantry belt to get 3 hatchets. It's always capped at 1. And she's now also been given a second iridescent add-on, which is called Soldier's Putty, which increases the Huntress movement speed to 4.6 meters per second when she has no hatchets. And the last killer update we'll cover is the Twins, which gives you an increased cooldown on successful attacks by Victor from 3 to 5 seconds. The camera control is now immediately restored to Charlotte rather than having the kind of waking up animation. And an increased undetectable range on Silent Cloth, and an increase to the exposed status effect with an iridescent pendant. I'm not entirely sure the Twins needed a buff, but hey, we are where we're at. So let's move on to the perk updates. So there's a lot to cover here, so I'm going to just try and go through them as quickly as I can. Small game has been changed. You can no longer detect killers' traps with small game, but it now gives you a counter of how many totems are remaining in the map, which is going to be so useful for finding hex totems and so useful to try and plan against Noed. Also, the detecting range of the totems is decreased by 5 degrees every time a totem is cleansed as you go through the map. So every time you cleanse a totem, your cone of being able to see them decreases by 5%. Lucky Break now hides all scratch marks and blood pools to help you lose the killer, and to compensate, the amount of time it's active has been reduced to a maximum of 90 seconds. We'll get into that one at the end of the discussion. Soul Guard has been changed so that it has a cooldown of 30 seconds after activating. It's not going to have real many changes, but I think it's been brought in, as it says there, so people can't stack healing speeds. So yeah, I think there's a bug basically where people are exploiting a Soul Guard We're Gonna Live Forever combo, and this change should basically remove people being able to abuse that one. Open-handed basically no longer stacks with itself with multiple survivors, but you do get an increased base range of up to 16 meters maximum. Zancian Tactics has a straightforward change that is now permanently active, thank God, and it also has a larger range, so basically it is now exactly the killer version of Windows of Opportunity. Borrowed Time. So it says here, removing some confusing intricacies of how Borrowed Time interacts. They have removed the terror radius condition, and they have made the endurance status effect maximum of 12 seconds. So basically what they mean by that is certain killers can avoid borrow time. So Freddy is one who can avoid borrow time. If someone's asleep and unhooks, there is no terror radius, so therefore they do not, like, the person doesn't get the borrowed time endurance status effect when playing against a Freddy if the person who unhooks is asleep. Similar to stuff like reduced terror radius killers like Huntress and Deathslinger, Basement, Insidious Camp and Bubbas, Wraith. So basically the terror radius condition's been removed, and now anyone who's unhooked with borrowed time gets the endurance status effect, so it's really, really good. And the planned objective obsession change that they talked about a few months ago is coming in, which basically means anytime your aura is revealed to the killer, so basically anytime your aura is revealed to the killer, their aura is revealed to you, and you gain a percentage increase in healing and repairing and cleansing speeds. And if you're the object, your aura is revealed to the killer for 3 seconds every 30 seconds. Basically what this does mean you can track the killer, you can deduce what perks they're running, or what aura reading perks they're running, and you can attract them to your location and get away before they get there. Basically this is the way this now works means that you can tell if a killer's running barbecue and chili, bitter murmur, I'm all ears, things like that, because when your aura is revealed to them, then their aura is revealed to you. So that's basically it. Right, last part, guys, we'll go through is the kind of miscellaneous balance changes. So I'm not going to talk about the struggle update today. There's another video on the channel where I talked about that in length. I've put the link to that video in the description below. So go and check that out, please. The other changes are changes to Toolbox, which can increase your chance of being given a skill check. Slight change to Hatch, that if you open it with a key, it only remains open for 10 seconds rather than 30. And the same as like before, if it closes naturally, then the end game collapse does not start, it needs to be kicked shut. And they've also said that they will bring further updates to keys as and when they can. They are focusing on visibility for killers' powers on the HUD updates, so Doctor's Madness, Freddy's Dream World, Plague's Infection Meter, and Ghostface Stock Meter are all being updated. And finally, the big graphical update this time is Cold Wind Farm. So the pictures of Cold Wind Farm should be up on the screen for you just now, cycling through. I think they look really, really good. The devs have made a really, really good job. They look very bright is one thing I'll say, but that doesn't mean that they'll translate to being that bright when they reach the actual game itself. But I certainly think that they've done a really good job, and I think they look really, really awesome. Right, geez, oh, that was a lot to unpack. So now we're going to talk, are these changes good or bad for DBD? I'm not going to go through all of them, I'm just going to go through the key ones for me. So the Freddy Krueger change, the Nightmare change is excellent. The Freddy nerf has been a long time coming, and I think a lot of people will be very happy with it. You basically never get punished for playing badly as Freddy like you do with other killers, and these changes should now make that not a thing. You'll also probably see Freddy less at lower ranks, where people are just going to shoot up to red rank playing Freddy Krueger. Like the amount of times you see that with people on Dead by Daylight, that they just like boost themselves to red ranks by only playing Freddy, so you probably see less of that. I think the Demogorgon changes, other than Rat Liver being nerfed, is very good, because I think Demogorgon's a really underrated killer in Dead by Daylight, and having increased portal speeds will hopefully get more people playing him, which I think is really good. Iridescent Head change is excellent for the game, like thank God, man, that was so busted. It's a bit dodgy that it still does the one hit down, but the fact that it's capped at 1 should make it a lot more manageable, and I'm really excited about the new change to her speed when she has no hatches. I think that's a really, really good change as well. Twins, not so sure about. Don't think they really need a buff. I think they're one of the strongest killers in the game as it is, and I would really have liked them to look at the respawn time of Victor, because I think that's a real big problem, and I think he probably was more in line for a nerf than a buff, if I'm being honest. I don't know whether they maybe went for buffs because a lot of people don't play twins, but I think they're just miserable to play against, and I think a lot of people don't play as them because the basically play style is slugging, which can be quite boring. As for the perk ones, I'm not going to go through all of them. The two I'm going to focus on are borrowed time. I think the borrowed time change is incredible. Removing the terror radius condition is going to make such a difference to that perk, and I think it's going to be so good. But conversely, on the other hand, I think the lucky break change is a bad change. I think that shit is busted. The fact that you leave no scratch marks, grunts of pain, or pool of blood for 90 seconds basically just makes you undetectable for 90 seconds, and I think that is a long time to be undetectable. I know it clicks off just now if you heal yourself. I hope that remains as part of the condition for the perk. Obviously that'll be remain to seen when it goes from PDB to live, if that's still a condition. But yeah, I think that perk could be real busted real quick, and I think you'll see Lucky Break becoming meta very quickly if that's the case. As for the other changes, really we're going to look at, I think the HUD stuff's a continued piece of work that's going to be good. I don't think there's much to talk about with the toolbox and hatches. I think the graphic stuff looks really cool on Cold Wind. The only thing I'll say is I think that the corn looks quite difficult to see through. I don't know if that's just for the graphic renders that they've done, but yeah, I think that could potentially be a problem if it's very difficult. I know some people are pretty corn blind as it is just now. I think if it's harder to see through, that could be something that might be looked at, but that'll be remain to seen when it comes into live. Overall though guys, I honestly believe this is an excellent change for Dead by Daylight. This whole developer update, top to bottom, other than maybe a couple of things I would have changed, is brilliant, and I'm really happy they've done it, and it's a really good marker for them to put down. I'm very hard pressed to find anyone who has a lot to complain about other than the odd thing like rat liver or the twin stuff, but on the whole I think they've really listened to the community and put in a lot of really good changes, so I think it's a very good change for Dead by Daylight. That's it guys, another discussion in the books. The extended discussion will return, or will not return, sorry, it will return to its 3-minute format next week. There was just so much to unpack this one, I couldn't even attempt to do it in 3 minutes. So thank you so much for tuning in guys. Please like and share this video around. Please subscribe to the channel, it really helps me out as a new content creator on YouTube and really helps with the algorithms. As always, you guys have been amazing. Thanks for any feedback that you give me in the comments below, and I stream over on Twitch a few times a week. That is twitch.tv/LuboATM. Come join me over there if you want to talk about the changes or you just want to watch me be a boosted piece of garbage. But until I see you guys next, peace.